Okay, Joe, was that all for the questions from the audience and Twitter? Okay, so media.
Well, I've explained why they're not able to perform because of the lack of resources and the fact that, you know, if you offer people that sort of lousy salary and no chance to progress.
Okay, so the quality's low, but are they biased?
No, I'm not saying the quality's low. I'm saying that the outcome is low if you don't give them the resources.
Sure.
I mean, what's going on in investigative journalism in this country? Well, actually, very little.
Okay.
You know, 51 finance houses went down, owing about $6 to $8 billion of many old people's money, which I'll never see again. And where's the investigative journalism saying this guy should be in prison? Now, Madoff will get out before these guys get in.
Yeah.
This is how bad it is. Now, I'm not targeting any one political party, but I'm saying if you want an unresponsive, don't give a damn society, allow that to go on.
Okay. I couldn't agree more with you, but...
I knew you'd come around with that.
Now, but do you feel that the media is still biased against you? And
well, of course they are, because I'm against foreign ownership and cross-media ownership in this country. I think it's damaging New Zealand's cultural development as well as the quality of public information.
Just because Duncan Garner works for MediaWorks that's owned in Australia or wherever, it doesn't mean that he's going to be biased against you, surely not.
Look, excuse me. Here you got MediaWorks who say, look, we're running into tough times, we don't want to pay our licence. Go and ask any businessman in Invercargill or Wanaka, for that matter, or Dunedin, how would you not to pay your fees or taxes? No, but because of their political connections, they had $43 million suspended in terms of payment. That's who owns this outfit. And so do you see any critical commentary of the government? No, there's a love fest coming from TV3 because the masters dictate that.
So it's really a conspiracy?
No, a conspiracy is where two or more meet and designed to break the law. I'm not saying it's conspiracy. I'm saying it's crony politics of the very worst sort.
Okay. But is that why your meetings aren't being reported to the public? I mean,
why would you cover an ACT Party or a Green Party meeting in a telephone booth, and I get 800 people and pack the hall, and you won't cover it? I'm showing there's a market demand for what I'm saying, a consumer demand for what we stand for. They're showing nothing, but they're getting the coverage.
Okay, what about opinion polls? You're doing pretty badly in the opinion polls, and you must worry that
Well,
causes...
I'm shocked that a political scientist should say that. Because your polls are rubbish, and I'll tell you why. 2002, the polls say that Winston Peters and New Zealand First at the start of the campaign is on 1%. We got 10.8. And in fact, if you hadn't told us that, we probably got 14. That's in 4 weeks flat. It's 2005, you're 575% out. 2008, even in that disastrous election, you were almost 500% out, and still now, here we go into this campaign, 2 months to go, and some of you are saying that we're on 1 and 2%. Rubbish.
So you're just not worried? You just think...
No, I've got a political science degree. I've got some idea what I'm talking about, and I've been in the game a long time. Okay. What I'm saying is, if you have, and you know, this is a serious faculty down here called political science, hasn't it, in Otago? If you have a spread amongst your pollsters of sometimes 14% in Canada, the UK, Australia or the United States, this industry would meet and say, look, there's something dramatically wrong with our methodology. We've got to fix it up in terms of our own integrity if we're going to carry on doing this. That's what they do abroad. Here in New Zealand, they say, we're right, he's wrong, and they carry on. This is disgusting. It's misinformation of the very worst sort to the public on a very key issue, whereas I believe that those polls that delve down into the won't say, don't know factor, which is as high as 33%, are far more accurate. But let me explain this to you. How could you, in a campaign, excuse the polling systems from TVNZ, Herald Digital and TV3, which said that New Zealand First was on 1 and we got 10.8 in 4 weeks? This is misinformation. It should stop.
So, are you still keen to ban the polls in the run-up to the election?
Well, in this country, more than any other country, the closing 28 days should be banned because they have been so dramatically, evidentially proven wrong.
Okay. I think we've got another question from Joe.
And as you know, there's a percentage of the electorate who vote on the likely winner, according to those polls. It's all in your political science studies. Yeah. Many of you will have seen that.
Mr. Peters, the Twitter feed asks, you've got a very professional, polished image, and the Twitter feed's just wondering if you've ever had a bad hair day.
more than you know. I've had more. Sorry, I've had more people trying to cut my hair for free than you've had hot dinners. That's a good one, Pat Scott's.
Okay, now, as usual in these vote chats, we ask the participant a number of questions. Students are quite interested to know about various social issues, ethical issues, I guess, if you like, and things like gay marriage, whether you would support a vote on gay marriage, for example.
It's funny you say that. A lot of the contacts I had with people who were likely to be affected by that were utterly against it.
Yeah.
That is, gay people saying, I don't want to get caught in some matrimonial arrangement that I had no idea was going to come, and all of a sudden now I'm being landed with it by way of 3 years of association.
But they've already got that, haven't they, essentially?
No, but they didn't want it.
Yeah.
That's the point. A substantial number didn't go public because they looked like they weren't being staunch, but they were privately telling me, whatever you do, don't do this.
But isn't it nonetheless a human right that anyone should be able to get married, regardless of your sex?
Well, if it's a human right, you need to tell me what the origin of that right is. No more than so that it's a human right to get married if you're heterosexual. I mean, I don't know where that right comes from. It happens to be a long L-O-R-E or a long historical arrangement, and going through all sorts of different societies. But as a right, no one's ever put it that way because it was taken as being the norm.
That's right, but it discriminates, I guess, against those that aren't heterosexual.
Well, the question is whether that is what the public want. And frankly, my view is, why don't we ask the public, rather than have temporarily empowered politicians, most of whom don't know what's going on in the real world anyway, because they're so disconnected from it, making these important decisions.
Okay, what about...
I'd prefer a referendum to be the answer on that.
Okay. What about some of the other issues are drinking age, purchase age? It's currently 18. Should it be higher, lower?
At the time, the drinking age was lowered to 18 years in a serious poll, which you could rely upon because of the huge differentiation between the yays and the nays. The mass majority of young people in this country were against the age being taken down to 18.
Yeah, and?
The second thing is what we've got in this country is a new emerging drinking habit where most people don't drink publicly until they're 3/4 or 3 sheets of the win. Then they go out. This is my observation. I'm not an expert, but I tell you what, they start going out up. They leave today at a time when in the old days we were coming home. They're leaving at 11:30, 12 o'clock later in the night.
There might be some experts in the audience here.
Well, I think there are because I've watched them. Right. The second thing is that we haven't come to grips with understanding what you might call the benefits of alcohol as opposed to the massive disadvantages of alcohol in our culture. It's seriously bad.
So I'm not sure if you're dodging the question here, but are you saying you want to raise
I'm
it to
for 20 years of age.
So a lot of these people, you'd take it away.
No, you're not taking it away. What you're saying is in circumstances where your parents are in control and your society which you belong to is in control, that's a different matter. But supplying it, no. And what I'm saying in that context is if you look at what's happened, we were warned about it at the time. You lower it to 18, it'll be 14. Because back then it was 17.
Okay.
20 meant 17. Now it's 14 and it's worse.
Okay.
And in parts of this country, I mean, I'm looking at what I suspect is, on the main, a pretty lucky audience because that's what the background is, no matter what you are. But I'm telling you, in this country, there's absolute catastrophe in many parts of our society with alcohol and worse.
Well, it sounds like you might be one of those politicians that are keen to also raise the price of alcohol.
No, I'm not.
We're hearing a lot about politicians. We had Claire Curran here last week who wanted to raise the minimum price of alcohol, and Jim Anderton and so forth. Are you one of them?
Well, the last time Jim Anderton did that, of course, the price of sherry went through the roof. And I can't think of one young person I know that's had a sherry. Not more than once, anyway. So that won't work. And I'm not for going out there and doing a Dick Turpin on responsible drinkers just to try and get a minority of irresponsible drinkers. That does not make economic and social sense. And if you don't make economic and social sense, in the end, the public will not support you.
Okay, Joe, have you got a question there?
Yeah, this is actually a question from myself, Mr. Peters. Your ideology tends towards social conservatism and it tends to attract itself to an older demographic. And I'm just wondering whether you feel that you can actually truly associate your politics to the masses of general student politics.
Well, let me say this. I'm a unashamed capitalist, but I'm a responsible one. I believe that two things have happened dramatically adversely in our society in recent years, particularly in Western society and mainly in the United States and in the what you might call the new English-speaking countries, UK, rather not UK, Australia, and United States and New Zealand. That is the loss of integrity of capitalism, where it no longer has any social conscience, and a collapse of the integrity of the welfare state. Both need to be fixed up. So I'm a responsible conservative who believes that capitalism is the best way of organising the economic affairs of humanity, but it has certain distinct obligations that go with it. And there's a dog-eat-dog, let the devil take the hindmost attitude I see emanating from Parliament, and in the new National Party, of which I once was a proud member, is what I'm opposed to.
Just to follow up on that question, I've got a follow-up which leads from what you just said. Do you believe that maybe if you'd managed to bite your tongue and stay in the National Party that you might have been Prime Minister?
Oh, great question. Yeah. You could be...
Well, the answer is, of course I could have.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
no. You're saying why? If you think that politics is about your personal advancement so that you can say, I was the Prime Minister of this or that country and therefore I've had a successful career, then you don't believe like I believe. I think the battle's worth the fight. I had 32 of 38 members walk into my caucus room in 1989. I knew what they wanted to talk about in terms of getting a new leader. I was polling about 29%, Jim Polger was polling 3%, but the price wasn't worth it. And the price that they sought me to pay is what you've ended up paying as an economy as you've grown up, where we have gone from being potentially one of the great countries in the world economically and socially to on a permanent slide down the OECD with grim and desperate years to come. That's the price I would have had to pay, because they would not have made me the leader unless they could get me to be the salesperson for their policies of the type which Ruth Richardson, Bill Birch, and now Bill English believe. And frankly, that would have been, in my view, I would have been a traitor to my beliefs. I am a conservative. They are not.